have to be.
And here's the question, I'm sure for business and technology audiences, right, or professionals, anticipation may mean slightly different things.
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to anticipation on the business side, it's what kind of business conditions, what kinds of competitive environments, what kind of customer behaviors. So for instance, we see the millennials behaving a lot different than my generation. We see, the notion of, depending upon the economy, how the customer behaves. Right now, the economy's steaming along. People are spending freely. You can get them on some upside things. They're going to buy some luxury items where they wouldn't have before. So understanding those conditions from a business perspective is one thing. And then from a technical perspective, it's a different game. The game at the technical level is to be able to respond to change. So, you may be doing a volatility analysis. So you may be looking at some of your legacy code and say, well, which part of the code changes the most? Should we put in some explicit rules? Should we surround some of our legacy so that we can leverage it better for our customer experience and customer excellence? Those are, the IT and the technology driven anticipations things are more reactive in fashion, but also there could be, people that are in between IT and business that are looking and mining at data. So for instance, data mining, process discovery, process optimization, all of those things, sometimes the tech guys are finding it and pointing it out to the business. So there's no simple answer, and it's how well you communicate between business and IT. And I think the digital technologies causes that communication to be a little crisper and more frequent.
And do you see change being driven by what combined wisdom of the company, or is it more business pushing technology, or depends, right? I know there's no easy answer, but how do you see it developing in 2020?
Well, I think there are certain trends. So for instance, I think that the customer excellence, which I would define differently than customer experience. Customer experience says, how well do we treat the customers with our transactions?
Okay.
It's, starts at my company, ends at my company. I think that's kind of narrow. And I think you're going to see organizations say, well, what's the overall journey of the customer and what role do we play there? And how do we handle it? And so I think a lot of these things are going to be driven through external
pressure,
forces.
Right? Yeah.
Question is, are you paying attention? And are you paying attention in the right channel at the right time? Or are you just, bringing in customers who love you and you ask them questions that are easy, or do you create surveys that help you get a raise and really don't get at the issues? And
right, but do you include unpleasant questions, because you kind of know your business well, but also you want to hear the real feedback, right? Not always, shiny, rainbowy sort of.
Yeah, well, right? if you look at surveys, every survey that I've taken recently doesn't really allow me as a customer to do anything other than answer the question so that they look better, so they get a bonus. I mean, almost every survey I take is that way. If you put something in the remarks, you think you've said something, it makes you feel good, but they very rarely respond to that, to be honest with you.
Yep. So will digital help with this? I mean, how?
Well, yeah, with natural language processing, certainly. I mean, and understanding. I think we're going to see the combination of knowledge and NLP come together, so that you're extracting knowledge that might cause you to make a change or might help the next person that has to deal with it. So I'm seeing case studies of NLP looking at content, whether that content be paper, whether that content be, voice, or whether that content be video, or whether it be a training video. And it's learning from that and giving people advice by showing them the right video at the right time. I'm working on this particular pump, and I let somebody know I'm working on the pump, and they can say, hey, well, look, we've got a training video on this, and we've learned this from watching the other technicians, the senior technicians, work on these kind of pumps before. And, here are the easy trip ups on these pumps. So, I mean, we're starting to see that combination of knowledge applied just in time to help not only employees, but help customers. Though I have to say most of the chatbots that I work with are kind of rudimentary and aren't there. I think you're going to see some more sophistication instead of a chatbot that says, how can I sell you? How can I sell you? How can I sell you?
Yep,
I mean, it's thinly veiled selling.
a little bit more of value, right? Something
Yeah,
that
more
I'm
value
a
to me
customer, right?
as a customer or as an employee. Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, the old world was you used the journeyman approach. You'd have some master and some junior guy, and the junior guy is polishing the boots of the senior person and trying to learn. This is going to get bypassed by observation and NLP and video understanding, and I think it's going to be a richer employee experience and a richer customer experience. And we'll be able to shorten the time that it takes to become a master. And the masters are going to have to move. They better get better too.
You know what you brought? It's such an important point, because this gives data and evidence in the hand of anyone who is skillful with getting data and evidence, which will be any bright employee, right? Any college grad, anyone pretty much who is interested enough and passionate enough, right? So bringing this evidence and saying, we're doing this for such and such reason, right? Because we always done this, right? But guess what, right? Why don't we look in such and such? So all I'm saying, this is like democratizing in a lot of ways, right? Knowledge, wisdom. And I guess, 20 years of experience will not mean much. It doesn't mean anything anymore, right? It's those who really can bring the data and really, right, find the ways to improve the performance based on, right, something tangible.
Yeah, the knowledge gaps are going to disappear. I mean, we know knowledge management had a fantastic public failure back in the 90s and early 2000s. I think it's got a chance now because now we have learning technology. We now have data capture technology that can work. So, the old knowledge management was based on a taxonomy that some genius in the background was building. And if you came up with a new relationship, that genius had to approve it and take it in front of board. Well, now we have ontologies that dynamically create, relationships, say, well, this is related to this is related to this. And you can start looking at the patterns, and you're not held back by the data structure. You're not held back by the language, even if it's, multilingual. Kind of the old things for building knowledge management didn't work, and that's why it failed. It was a technology fail, and it was an administrative procedure fail. Now we have all of the pieces are in place to make it happen, and we're starting to see it happen.
And guess what? I don't know if you're seeing any challenges in terms of organizational cultures, okay? Because this is completely different world.